You know, most smokers really do want to quit. They know the risks, they feel the cost, and they just hate the control it has over them. And yet, most who try will fail. So the real question is, why? Why does quitting something you genuinely want to stop feel so completely impossible? Well, the answer isn't about having a lack of willpower. It's because most smokers don't truly understand the nature of the trap they're in.
In the 20th century alone, tobacco is linked to the deaths of 100 million people. Just let that number sink in for a moment. 100 million. It's a figure so huge it's hard to even wrap your head around it. And every single one of those people started their journey with just one cigarette, totally convinced they could stop whenever they felt like it.
Okay, so the trap really starts with this simple logical contradiction that every smoker lives with every single day. They smoke for reasons that are, when you think about it, completely opposed to each other.
On one side, you've got all the perfectly logical reasons to quit. Your health, the money, feeling like a slave to it. But on the other side are all these supposed benefits. So you have to ask yourself, how can one single substance do completely opposite things? How can it relieve your stress, but also help you relax? How does it help you concentrate, but also cure your boredom? It's a stimulant and a sedative all in one. And that paradox, that's our first real clue that something else is going on here.
You see, to really get a handle on this, we need to stop calling it a habit or a choice. It's actually way more accurate to see it as a perfectly designed trap, one that's so subtle, the person caught inside doesn't even realize the trap has sprung until they try to get out.
Nobody decides to become a smoker for life, right? The addiction begins with this illusion of control. The first few cigarettes often taste awful, which just reinforces that belief of, oh, I can't get hooked on this stuff. But the nectar is sticky, and before you know it, you're not the one in control anymore, the plant is.
So what is this sticky nectar? Well, it has a name, nicotine. It is one of the fastest-acting and most addictive drugs known to science. When a smoker takes a puff, that dose hits the brain in seconds, even faster than heroin injected directly into a vein. And that speed, it's absolutely crucial to how the trap works. The second you put out a cigarette, the nicotine level in your body starts to drop. This creates this tiny, almost unnoticeable feeling of withdrawal. A little agitation, a feeling of emptiness. Let's call this the little monster of addiction. It's not a real physical pain, more like a nagging feeling that something's missing. So when you light up the next one, you're not getting any real pleasure. All you're doing is feeding that little monster, just silencing the craving that the last cigarette created in the first place.
And this right here, this brings us to the most common way people try to quit and exactly why it almost always fails. The willpower method is actually based on a huge misunderstanding of what the problem even is. The whole idea behind the willpower method is that you are making a huge sacrifice. The smoker believes they are giving up something that brings them genuine pleasure, a real crutch in their life. So for days or weeks or even years, they have to use all this mental energy to resist something they still want. So what happens? You've got this constant war going on in your head. One part of your mind wants to smoke, and the other part is fighting it. The person feels miserable, they're irritable, and life just feels less enjoyable without their little friend. They'll see someone else smoking and feel a pang of envy, not pity for them. This feeling of being deprived, that's what makes the fight so hard, and why so many people eventually just fall right back into the trap.
Okay, so if the pleasure isn't what we think it is, then what exactly is that feeling of satisfaction? What is the secret that keeps people coming back? Well, the answer lies in understanding the core deception, the big lie at the heart of the addiction.
This is probably the single most important idea to grasp. The pleasure of a cigarette isn't a good feeling being added to your life. It's a bad feeling being temporarily taken away. See, a non-smoker doesn't walk around all day needing a cigarette. They just feel normal, calm. The smoker, on the other hand, is living in a constant, low-level state of withdrawal. The cigarette just gives them a brief moment of relief, bringing them back to feeling normal, the way a non-smoker feels all the time, without even thinking about it.
But wait, where did all these positive ideas come from? You know, the idea that smoking is relaxing or cool or sophisticated? Well, that didn't just happen. It was carefully, meticulously crafted over decades. Back in the 1920s, PR gurus linked smoking to the women's rights movement, calling cigarettes torches of freedom. Then Hollywood made it the go-to accessory for every hero and movie star. And when the health scare started to pop up, the industry came back with a marketing masterpiece, the filter, which sold the illusion of safety. This is what we can call the big monster. all the brainwashing.
And that's the really uncomfortable truth at the heart of this whole thing. The entire belief system that cigarettes help with stress, that they're a pleasure, that they help you concentrate, it's all an illusion. The smoker is a slave, endlessly feeding a need that only exists because of the drug they're taking. They are paying a fortune, literally, for the privilege of trying to feel the way they did before they ever started smoking.
But that leaves us with one last, kind of haunting question, doesn't it? If the pleasure is an illusion and the physical need is gone in a few days, why does that desire sometimes stick around for years?
You see, the purely physical part of the addiction, that little monster, it's surprisingly weak. It's pretty much gone within a few days of the last cigarette. The real fight is with the big monster. The years and years of psychological conditioning. Every cup of coffee, every meal, every stressful moment, every party has been linked to smoking. The addiction isn't just in your body, it's carved into your memory. The mind still remembers I am a smoker, and that memory can trigger the ghost of a desire long after the physical need has vanished.
And that's the final, trickiest layer of the trap. It's a prison built inside the mind, made of false beliefs and conditioned responses. Seeing the illusion for what it is, that's the first step. But escaping a prison with no actual walls requires something more than just willpower. It requires understanding that there's nothing to give up, and that real freedom is just about returning to the state you were in before you ever lit that first cigarette.